You didn't grow up with a smartphone, but you also didn't grow up without the internet. You remember dial-up. You remember when Google was new. You had a childhood with no screens, and then, almost overnight, the entire world went digital, and you adapted like it was nothing. That's not a coincidence. That's your psychology. And today, we're going to break it down. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, you're a Xennial. Not quite Gen X, not quite a Millennial. You exist in a micro-generation that psychologists almost missed, people who grew up analog but came of age digital. And that split experience created something genuinely unusual inside you. You don't have one childhood, you have two, a before and an after. Before screens, you played outside until dark. You memorized phone numbers. You used maps. If you were bored, you sat with the boredom because there was nothing else. Psychologists call this unstructured time, and it built something in you that's increasingly rare, the ability to tolerate uncertainty, to sit with discomfort, to figure things out without instant answers. You weren't raised to be entertained. You were raised to survive. Then the internet arrived, and unlike generations born into it, you remember the moment everything changed. That moment of contrast, life before and life after, gave you a psychological superpower, perspective. You don't take technology for granted because you remember the world without it, but you also don't fear it because you were young enough to absorb it completely. Psychologists call this a dual cognitive framework. You can live inside the digital world and still step outside it because you remember what outside looks like. But here's what nobody talks about. Xennials carry a specific kind of quiet exhaustion. You were raised with Gen X skepticism. Don't expect too much, the world is disappointing, but then you hit adulthood in the era of millennial optimism. Hustle harder, dream bigger, you can have it all. You got the cynicism first, then the pressure second. That's a brutal combination. Many Xennials describe feeling like they are always slightly out of place, too ironic for the earnest millennials, too hopeful for the detached Gen Xers. You belonged everywhere and completely nowhere. But that in-between place is also where your strength lives. Because you were never handed a clean identity, you built one. Psychologists studying resilience consistently find that people who've navigated ambiguity, who didn't fit neatly, tend to be more adaptable, more self-aware, and better at reading rooms than those who always belonged. You learned early that the world doesn't sort neatly into categories, so you stopped waiting for it to. And that made you quietly, deeply capable. Xennials didn't get a generation anthem. No one made a movie about your adolescence. You were the footnote between two cultural giants. But the people who grow up in the margins, who learn to live between worlds, those are the ones who understand the most about what it means to be human. If that's you, you already know. You figured it out a long time ago, without Google. If this hits something in you, share it with someone who gets it. They'll know exactly who they are.